how to avoid codependency in your marriage. And this is like, I don't know how many would actually admit it, that they're codependent, but codependency is a big issue in pretty much all marriages. I will even say my marriage. I mean, I wouldn't say it's an issue, but I recognize and acknowledge that there's codependency, right? There's some codependency, especially when you have kids that you can't really get around, like picking up kids from daycare and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, just on that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I would distinguish those as there's cooperation and there's codependency. The cooperation is stuff like, hey, does kids need to be collected from daycare, or one needs to go to camp and the other one needs to go to a doctor's appointment. So there's a cooperation that occurs within the relationship. But where it gets dangerous is when it becomes a codependency. And that's what we're gonna chat about.
Yeah. One of the ways, because distinguishing is important, one of the ways I was going to distinguish as well is emotional codependency. So when I talk about how to avoid codependency in your marriage, what we're really talking about is how to avoid emotional codependency. And to understand this, like you gotta understand this concept first, right? Codependency is why you married your wife. Love, the love that you feel when you meet a woman and everything is hot and heavy, that love biologically goes away after about 2-3 years. Okay, it transforms into something greater, some bigger love. But that heat, you're heating, that goes away. So that kind of love doesn't stay persistent. However, the reason why you feel that is because you have insecurities and your wife has insecurities and you're feeling each other's voids. So if you feel insecure in an area, which causes you to need the approval, if that woman gives you the approval that you're looking for in the way you want it, it's going to be very attractive. Attractive beyond her looks and other personality traits. It's going to, fuse that attraction even more. And so now you have 4 or 5 of these insecurities, like most men, and she's doing a great job in filling the void. You get really attached. You get really codependent because somebody is creating externally a level of safety. See, filling the void for you means they're creating safety for you. You feel safe. If you have a stupid insecurity, you think you're stupid, and anytime somebody makes you feel stupid, you start to use your survival behaviors. Or if you feel weak or not lovable, or you feel like a burden, right? Whatever your insecurity is, I just mentioned a couple examples. But the threat goes away because this woman is now filling those voids for you. You're going to feel awesome, on top of the world. And it goes the other way too. Okay? So if your wife has insecurities that now you're filling the void on for her, creating very strong codependency. And most men get married. First of all, this filling the void blinds you. It's kind of like the horse. When the horse has blinders on, can look just forward. That's what this does. So all of the red flags that you would have looked at or noticed prior marrying someone, you don't do because you have blinders on, because she's doing an awesome job of filling these voids, and vice versa, the other way. You're filling her voids, she has blinders on. A few years go by, you get married, and boom, you're now in a codependent relationship. You have kids. You are now in a codependent relationship, raising kids, which again becomes your obligation. There's way bigger impact of any negative action or acting on your feelings that you would do with your kids around. And so understanding the fact that you get into most likely you've gotten into this relationship already codependent. Like, that's the foundation. You got to understand that to even deal with it, right? You got to understand why this is a problem. This is a problem. Codependent relationships are a problem. Emotionally codependent relationships are a problem because the wife has insecurities, the husband has insecurities, they get married or they get to know each other, they fulfill the void for that their insecurity has created, they fall in love, they get married, and then they deepen this. Now, anytime, like, how do I say this? Notice the breakdown of your relationship when things started to go sideways. What did your wife do? She started to take out the plugs and started to not fulfill the voids for the areas where you're insecure. And what did you do? You reacted to it. You lost your shit. You screamed. You yelled. You justified. You defended. You overreacted in whatever that overreaction was. And the more you did that, the more she pulled out the ability to fill the voids. And then you did the same thing. So now here are two codependent people, husband and wife, who have emotional insecurities that they haven't dealt with, right? And they were feeling it for each other. They no longer feel it. They're butting heads. Okay? Like, this is so important for you to get why you are in the spot that you're in. John, anything I missed or you want to add?
Yeah, and it's not that that both parties need to be completely independent of each other for a marriage to work, or to be not dependent on the other person, right? Yes, your wife will need you for safety and security, and she will need you for safety and security more than you should need her for safety and security. Like, it's just a fundamental relationship dynamic. So you can't say, hey, is she still codependent? Yes, to a degree, because it falls into the dynamics of the relationship. The natural is that, yes, you will protect her. That's the natural component of it. And again, the dependency and how you got to that place of dependency is, again, the knowledge and the awareness now. But the next step is, how do you move away from it? Right? How do you break the cycle of being dependent? Right? The emotional self-sufficiency. Yeah. Go.
Yeah. Before we get deep into this, it is really critical for you to understand contextually where John and I are coming from. We are going to talk about emotional self-sufficiency for you as a husband, as a man. It doesn't mean your wife doesn't need to deal with her shit. It doesn't mean that. She has insecurities. She has the ability to become more and more emotionally self-sufficient. She has that ability, okay? But don't focus on that. Focus on your emotional self-sufficiency, because that's going to lead her. When she sees that you're being responsible and you're owning your emotional self-sufficiency and you're altering stuff there, that's going to give her what's possible. That's going to motivate her and lead her. So the way out of an already codependent relationship, emotionally codependent relationship, is to get rid of your insecurities, to pull your bullets, right? Codependency in a relationship, emotional codependency in a relationship, is based on two people being insecure and filling each other's voids, and then being dependent on the other to continue make them feel safe. Because if the void is not filled, they will feel threatened. Okay? So if you get rid of your insecurities and you pull your bullets, which means you get rid of your suppressed hurts from your life, then you will be able to get rid of the threat. And if you're no longer threatened, then you no longer need somebody to externally fill the voids, which means you're no longer codependent or relying on your wife to make you feel safe, to make you feel whatever that looks like, right? Make you feel appreciated, make you feel respected, or any of that. You no longer need that, because what was fueling it all is now gone at a root fundamental level.